Hi, Frank. Welcome back to Movie Junk. How are you?
Hey man, I'm doing good. Great. Thanks for reaching out and getting me on your show again. We've done this once before, or is it? Yeah, at least once before. Always a pleasure, man.
Believe it or not, this is actually round three of us
That's
having
what
you
I
on
was
our
wondering.
show. Super, super excited. And again, we got the man, the myth, the legend in Frank Jasper, widely known as Shute. We're really excited to talk about your upcoming projects. Obviously, we're going to dig into Vision Quests. We're going to talk about Shute Shirts and anything that you are involved in that we could share with the fans. But super honored to welcome you back on.
Great to be here. And yeah, there's been a few things that have happened since the last time we talked. So let's get it on.
One thing that I wanted to sort of kick things off with. So I was just looking back and at the inception of our channel, and it's been about 6 years. I think we started right when like COVID hit, and we've interviewed 123 guests over
Wow.
over that span. And I looked back, and believe it or not, our clips from the first interview that we did are still my most viewed and most commented clips out of all the interviews that I've done. And we've interviewed a wide range of guests from The Sopranos, from Boardwalk Empire, Tulsa King, Chucky. I mean, all kinds of shows, all kinds of films. Why do you think that the Vision Quest interviews are the most talked about today?
I don't know. But well, okay, so I don't know who your viewing audience is targeting. I don't know if they're, wrestling fans or just movie fans only. Maybe there's a crossover there. Guys are very big on Vision Quest. They love the movie. Actually, I worked with one of them in this project that we'll talk about later. And he said, "Oh yes, the WWE guys would be." Love Vision Quest and are excited to see you in this project.
Awesome, awesome. And I mean, we talked a lot during our first interview around how you landed the role, sort of, the impacts that, you had, some of the stuff that was happening with Loudon's character was actually happening with yourself. I'd like to learn a little bit more around or dive a little bit more into the actual shoot character and the cultural impact that has been sort of happening with that character over 40 years. Like what's different from what you're because you engage with fans a lot. So how's the cultural impact different today from the conversations you're having to how it was in the 80s, if any change?
It's in the wrestling community, and primarily I do appearances at, wrestling tournaments, at the NCAAs, at the World Cup, different things like that. If somebody's doing an event, I love to help come and support it. The NCAAs, I was there this last year. We got to do a big event prior to that. It was pretty exciting because it actually landed on my birthday.
Wow.
When I flew in, it was the night before the NCAA started, and Jack Clark from USA Wrestling said, "Let's do the log scene."
Oh
And
wow.
so they found a log out there, and I threw on my warm-ups from the movie, and they had a couple of kids there that were feeding the lines as I walked in through the crowd with this log on my shoulder, and it was a big hit. The wrestlers love Vision Quest, and they love the character because he's a no nonsense. He's all about wrestling. He's self-starting, self-initiating. He's out there working by himself, in a stadium, just trying to get better. And I think that all the coaches and the wrestlers are looking at that as like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. And so what do I have to do to be my version of shoot? So
Hmm.
I love that it's, I mean, it's 40 years. That's for a film to still have, some resonance in the community, in general, because you're getting responses on this. I think it's amazing. I was like, so excited that it still has that impact. I mean, I just listened to, Lunatic Fringe the other day, and it's just so stimulating. It's just like activation. It's like if you're not going to go carry a log, you want to wrestle somebody, you want to lift weights, or you want to run, it has that connotation because it's connected to the movie and it just wants to inspire you to get better.
Was that log scene always in the script? Is that something that you suggested? What was it like filming that scene?
Well, it was in the script as far as I know as long because the script that I got, it was the scene. Matter of fact, when I first read, that's the scene I read was from
Wow.
the stadium. And it was a cold day in fall. The sun was out, but it was so cold there that every one of the cast members were wearing a stocking hat, a parka, and gloves. Um, and so the sweat on my face is actually glycerin. It's not even sweat by any means. And it was done really well. It was done fairly quickly. Matthew and Michael Schofield both nailed their lines. They got the shots in. I think it was like a half a day shoot in all total, to get all there, get set up, and then shoot from different perspectives and wrap it up.
Yeah, I think probably the two most impactful scenes, at least like for me, with Vision Quest, is that log scene, and then also the Elmo speech at the end, the
Yeah.
6 minutes. Not about, it's what happens in those 6 minutes. So definitely, I mean that log scene, I'd be lying if I said I didn't try doing it at least once on like bleachers. Wasn't successful doing it, and I didn't have a log. I had like a body that I was using, like one of my friends. But definitely, I mean, from the fans' perspective, I mean, we all wanted to do that scene. A lot of us wanted to be like Loudon, but deep down, I think a lot of the fans wanted to be Shoot.
Yeah, you know what? I love that there's certain people that love Loudon's character to the point where like, yeah, I want to emulate Loudon. Either one is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And there's the guys that are not built like Shute that are going to want to tend toward that let's be like finessey, let's be quick, let's do that. Let's, never give up kind of concept mentally. So it had two great characters to follow and to try and, like I said, emulate to some degree.
Hmm. And a fun fact, I'm not sure if you know this, but I was watching an interview that was not, it was fairly recent, with Dana White,
Yeah.
and they're interviewing him and they're talking about what his favorite movie is. And believe it or not, he mentions Vision Quest. Have you seen that interview, or did you know about
I
that?
saw it. I was really kind of surprised because, he was asked which movie made the most impact on him. And then he went on to just talk about Vision Quest and what it meant and how certain aspects of that were just so profound. It changed his life. And the fact that a movie can actually change somebody's trajectory. I mean, the guy's like, is insane. He's got his hands in everything and he's making things happen and he's a go-getter. So, hey, I was honored to hear that. I would love to actually hang out with him and just kind of say, "Hey, man, love what you said about Vision Quest. Let's sit down and have a chat."
We definitely need to get this interview to Dana. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to see some sort of cross collaboration with yourself in the MMA. Can you imagine? I'd love to see you coming down the tunnel, walking somebody down into the ring. I think that would be amazing.
As a matter of fact, there's an event coming up, and it's going to be for the veterans. It's a fundraiser that'll be done in Las Vegas the beginning of October. I think it's the first weekend in October. And Randy Couture, it's under his heading and his company. And a guy named John Valentine got me interested in supporting them. So I've sent them
Oh, wow.
paraphernalia. And I was hoping to be there last year because John is in his 40s now, I believe. Joan Valentine, and he was going to have one more fight because he would do one. They have like a fight, like lineup, have a whole card, and he was one of the fights that the people just pay to come see, and all that money, by the way, goes to veterans. And I mean, Randy actually gets checks and hands it to the veterans personally, and the ones that are in need. And John said that like, oh, we're going to play, Lunatic Fringe, and I want you to be there, but things didn't work out, so I couldn't be there. But I still sent them some paraphernalia, and John ended up winning that fight, but he retired. So he's just kind of not doing that at that time. And by the way, I think that Randy Couture's last professional fight, he came out to Lunatic Fringe.
Oh wow,
So
yeah.
it has this great history. So yeah, why not have some kind of a tie-in with the MMA or UFC where I show up and carry a log or do something that's fun, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that would be amazing. Like I said, we'll try to get this to Dana through the channels that we have. And yeah, I
Okay.
mean, just from seeing that interview, I mean, I was like, man, like we definitely need to get Shoot in the MMA. Just walking down into the ring, I think would be amazing for fans, and especially if folks are coming out to Lunatic Fringe, what better person to come down accompanying them than Shoot himself.
Yeah. That would be great. I would love to do it.
Not to spoil the aura of, the showdown between you and Loudon, Matthew Modine. I'd love to hear just like if you could spoil kind of what it was like offset when you guys weren't going toe to toe. Like what were some of those conversations like? Did you guys have any sort of relationship offset?
I was I was actually kind of isolated. I found that I was on a set, you've got, background people, and then you've got some, actors that are playing, roles as well. So I mean, you've got the people in the crowd. That's one level. Those only show up for just that event. But then you've got the background people. That's all the wrestlers that are in the classroom, in the wrestling room. And then you've got what they call the actors, the A list, where people that have dialogue. So those people are then kind of on a different kind of little hierarchy. So we get a little place to stay. You have your own little star cabin, as it were. And so it was kind of one of those things where the wrestlers looked at me like, oh, he's one of the actors, and so I didn't really talk with them. I knew some of them, the ones that I did know, I did talk with, and then the actors themselves were kind of looking at me like, here's a wrestler trying to be an actor, and so I didn't kind of hang out with the actors either. And as far as Matthew and I. There was no contact whatsoever until we stepped out there getting ready for the scene. And I don't know if that was like Harold Becker's like, I don't want these guys hanging out or whatever, but it was the way we shot. I didn't speak with Matthew until almost the first time was at the Beat the Streets event in New York City, where they put up a mat in Libby Square, and they had the Russian national wrestling team wrestle the United States national wrestling team, and Matthew was invited, and so was I. So I was flown out there. Matthew lived there at the time, and Michael Novogratz was the guy that was, running this event. And shout out to him for making this happen. And it was the first time Matthew and I had been together since, the premiere of the movie. And so that was the first time I kind of got to sit down and just kind of talk about what was going on with his life and his family, and we just hung out and we sat on the edge of the mat and got to watch this incredible wrestling. So
Hmm. Have you crossed paths with Matthew since Vision Quest?
I so on the 30th anniversary, they had an event where Harold Becker, the director, Harold, the gentleman that played the teacher, English teacher, was there, myself, and Matthew's wife came because Matthew was filming something. So Carrie came, and I got to speak with her for a little bit, and lovely, lovely person. They've been together since, before Vision Quest. So they've had an incredibly long, enduring relationship. And in Hollywood, that's not easy. You know,
Hmm.
that's just,
Hmm.
that's never, there's some challenges there. And so I haven't hung out with Matthew really since then. And unfortunately, there was no connection at the 40th anniversary that there was done in Spokane or in New York City.
Hmm.
Dana White, however, went to the 40th anniversary
Wow.
event in Spokane, Washington.
Hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. So that's how, he loves the movie to the point where he said, "Hey, listen, if they're doing a 30th anniversary or 40th anniversary, I want to be there." So he was kind of like a special guest that they had at the Spokane event.
Hmm. Hmm. And I know we talked about, I think it was on our last interview, your interest in wanting to bring, whether it's a Vision Quest sequel or a series. I know we talked about the success of Cobra Kai and sort of
Yeah.
that angle that they played with Johnny actually being the good guy from a different perspective. I mean, that show lasted 6 seasons and was a huge hit on Netflix. And again, with wrestling, being really popular now, sort of been like a resurgence in wrestling in the last few years, that now would be the greatest time to bring this show back. And has there been any sort of interest? I know you'd written, I think we called it like a treatment or a Bible. Is that still being worked on today?
Oh, we've got a full pilot and a whole series and a whole treatment to do the arc of the series for the first season. It would be it would be a perfect time, like you said. It would be a perfect time. I see it that it would be something that could be a little bit more gritty than Cobra Kai, but in that vein of, Friday Night Lights
Mm,
where it's, fairly realistic and, things do happen to the characters that are, tough.
hmm.
And so we've got it's been very well received. And the biggest challenge has been who has the IP, which is Warner Brothers. Now, who do we talk to over there? And Warner Brothers has gone through so many
Yeah.
incarnations and it just currently did some big deal. So it's still in flux. And I was told the last time I spoke with somebody, because I went out to the um, Chiller Theater in earlier this year in April, and it was
Yeah.
for one of the Comic Cons. And I ran into a gentleman named Charlie um, who was working with in a project that was called, I think it's, the story of I think I'm trying it was a remake of the Christmas Story. Remember the guy with the repeater rifle and he's going to get the
Yeah, they made a Christmas Story
yeah.
sequel.
So he said they did a sequel and they were working with Warner Brothers and so
Yeah.
he said I'll find out who to talk to and he came back and goes, "Phew, I just heard that there's still so much transition going on there that nothing's going to happen till 2026."
This is Ralphie from Christmas Story that you were talking to?
The guy that's got his tongue stuck to the pole.
Oh yeah, yeah, not Ralph, his friend,
Charlie. Yeah, his
who was
friend. I
in
don't
it,
know the guy.
who
Yeah, the
was
little
in it.
kid,
He
the
was
other
in
little
the
kid.
sequel.
So he and I had a conversation. I think his last name is Charles Schwartz.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Anyway, so he goes, yeah, I should be able to make that connection. Let's see what we can do. So that was in April, and that's what he told me. He kind of said that, like, hey, nothing's happening until next year.
Hmm.
But I'm open to hear and to make connections. I'm just looking for the right person to talk to get me in the door over there, and I'm ready to go, man.
Yep. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Warner Brothers or HBO Max is part of Warner Brothers. So, which I think that's where, if I'm not mistaken, the Christmas Story sequel movie was released. So maybe that's where it could be a good home is actually on HBO Max, which is owned by Warner Brothers. So again, another thing that hopefully we can, get to the film gods or series gods that they can hear this and bring a pulse for it. So I'm excited. Um, and again, you mentioned that you did it's called the ChillerCon event, right? That was in April.
Chiller Theater,
Chill Theater.
Comic-Con, kind of thing, and it was held in Parsippany, New Jersey,
Uh-huh.
and headed out there again at the end of next month. So
Yep.
October, end of October, 24th, 25th, 26th, I think are the dates. I'll be in New Jersey for that.
Yep. And I did see that you saw Joe D'Onofrio, who we've had on our show before, Goodfellas,
Yeah.
Bronx Tales. That was just and I've been following the lineup. There's been some really really good guests. If I'm not mistaken, the gentleman that played RoboCop in RoboCop 3 is going to be there as well. What is the most quoted line that fans are coming up to you saying? Because I know you go to obviously like high school wrestling events, college wrestling events, but when they're getting one-on-one time with you at the booth, what are the lines that they're giving you the most?
Well, I think the classic, of course, is think you'll make the weight.
Uh-huh.
That's the one that I usually hear more than any other. They also like the bleeder thing, and can't hold your mud. There's a few of them that I hear, but I think the one about think you'll make the weight is probably the one I hear the most.
Hmm. Hmm. And one thing that I got to say as well too, I mean, you are still in phenomenal shape. I've had the privilege of meeting you a few times. I even though it was a photo, I got a chance to grapple a little bit with you, and I know you were taking it easy with me, but I definitely got to feel a tad of your strength of what Loudon was feeling, and I wouldn't want to get in the ring with you. So you definitely still got it, and I know you're very serious about health and fitness. Just briefly, like, can you share a little bit of, what the secret of your success is today?
Well, a lot of it has to do with nutrition and just being consistent. It's like I put in the hard work, and I think a lot of people did when we were younger. I don't have the time to be, going to the gym like 3 days on, 3 days, one day off, 3 days on, and then having to power down food to try and bulk up like I did when I was getting, bodybuilding back in the day. So for me now, it's just about consistency and about just reactivating those neural pathways and stimulating the cellular memory. And you don't have to do a tremendous amount, but you just need to be consistent. And as I've gotten older, it's not as easy to maintain, that level. So sometimes I have to push a little bit more every now and then and challenge myself. Um, I would say that nutrition is really the key, especially as we get older, that you really need to have a clean diet for the most part. I think I do like an 80-20 to most of my clients that I work with, except for the athletes that are, that are in performance, getting ready for the Olympics or NCAAs or something like that. Then I'm like, we got to keep it really tight. We got to keep it really clean. Everything you put in your mouth should be something that's going to make you better, make you stronger, feed your body, help you heal, hydrate you, all those things. And a lot of times it's about what I have to take out of their diet more than what I have to put into their diet.
Hmm.
So that's the key. And if I do a general, it's going to be, and I don't like to do general necessarily because everybody has a different microbiome. They have different needs. They have different stresses, different deficiencies. So everybody's nutrition should be tailored to their needs. And then the dose needs to be monitored and given in the exact right amount that's going to give you what I call a therapeutic effect. Too
Hmm.
little, it's not going to have that effect. Too much, and the body has to use its energy to process it. So the old adage, like if a little is good, a lot is better, is not, a truth. I just think there is a very specific amount that you want to be taking in. And I also think that I've been doing nutritional supplements for probably over 40 years now. And the last 30 years is when I, became a certified nutritionist. And the last 5 years I've spent dialing in nutrition for elite athletes and optimal performance.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, something as simple as having the right flora. And I shouldn't say simple because microbiome is really your gut, your intestines. This is where everything starts.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if it's out of balance, then you're in trouble. And if you're not going to be able to break down nutrients, you're not going to be able to utilize them, you're not going to be able to absorb them properly if your gut microbiome isn't in a healthy set or in condition. So one of the things that I always include, in this foundation is microbiome, gut, intestines. That all has to be addressed. Then your adrenals have to be supported and working, functioning properly. Liver, gallbladder have to be functioning properly, and um, these all have to be working in synchronicity. So there can be some, if the liver is hot, then it'll overact on different organs. It will disrupt your system. If your gallbladder's not working, then you're not going to break down fats properly. You're not going to lubricate your intestine. I mean, these are the kinds of things I go deep into with each patient and each nutritional, protocol for each person.
Hmm. And are you actively taking clients? Like, how can someone reach out to you if they want, if they would have the privilege of having you as a teacher mentor?
Yeah, it depends on my schedule and at right now I have some openings, so it just depends on who it is and what their intentions are. And it's about just going to shoot at shuteshirts.com. You can email me, reach out, say this is what I'd like to do. This is, how this is my age, this is my thoughts, and we can start a conversation and see if it's going to be a fit.
Awesome, awesome. So definitely just reaching out to you via your Instagram or email is the best way to reach out.
Right.
Definitely.
I
Um,
like email because I check my email every day. I don't always check messages on Instagram. I try and go through Facebook and Instagram daily, but sometimes I get caught up on other things and you might not hear back from me as quickly as if I saw an email from you.
mhm. One thing that I also wanted to ask, because you also, and I see these a lot on your Instagram, is some really cool Vision Quest swag. And I was fortunate. You gave me a really nice, memorable poster that I shared on my Instagram. It's a picture of you and me, and I'm holding it.
Yeah.
And I actually had fans reaching out wanting to purchase it. And I think someone might have actually, or a few people actually reached out. So one, what is the best way to get Vision Quest swag or shoot swag from you? Would love to share that with the fans that are interested in that as well.
So you just have a website and it's just Shute Shirts. And by the way, Shute is spelled Shute, shirts with an S.com. And I have been really depleted because of the last event that I went to. I will be receiving a restock order. It says tomorrow. So, give me the beginning of next week. If you're a large, and I'm totally sold out of large, but I should be completely stocked up by Monday.
What about double XL? Are you stocked in double XL?
I got some double XL, and I'll have even more coming in.
Okay, cool.
So
Just
we can
asking
we
asking
can
for a
handle
friend. Asking for a friend. Um,
that.
I don't want to say that you came out of retirement because every time, we connect, you're always, either going to an event, going to a con, meeting with fans. But I did see some behind the scenes of you getting behind the screen again. Are you able to share at all, what is your role? What is the film? When can we see this project? And would love to share with the fans your latest project.
Yeah. So I was really excited. There was another project that I was going to be involved with that didn't happen, and so I was like, oh darn! And then this opportunity came for me to play a drug dealer slash strip club owner, and I thought, oh this will be fantastic. And so I flew out to Kansas City. We shot this over just, one day with my character. I had about 5 pages of dialogue, and we figured, we would knock that out in an afternoon. It was man, I can't tell you how much fun it is to get back in front of the camera again, to take on a character, a different persona. This guy's a little bit edgy. He's he's not the nicest guy in the world, and I love doing I slicked my hair back and I was wearing all black and a black suit and so I got to play another kind of badass kind of character.
Hmm. Well,
Oh,
you
by the
don't.
way, it's called Blood Hunter and
Hunter.
there's another part of it, but I can't remember the other part, but it's called Blood Hunter. It should be released in the probably next end of next month or November.
Oh, cool.
perhaps depending on the editing. I think Hannibal TV is going to release it
Nice.
first, but look for that. Hannibal is the blood hunter in the movie, so he's from WWE. He's a
Yeah.
big guy, like 280, 285,
Yeah.
big strapping guy.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think he has a very popular podcast. Is it the same
Yes.
Hannibal person? Yep. And you might have also done his podcast. I think I've seen. Right. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, that's a big following. Excited to see your big return. Well, I mean, what was it like? I mean, did was it just like like it was shooting the last project that you did? Did you bring in some creative, artistic liberties to it? I mean, what was it like getting back behind the screen?
Yeah, well, so this is a independent project. Now, Warner Brothers, it was like fully funded. You had this extraordinary, director, Harold Becker, Matthew and Linda Fiorentino and Ronnie Cox and Forrest Whitaker and um, all these other actors that are well known and in the business already. So it had a precedence to it, and it shot for 10 weeks. This one was really a short shoot, an independent project. You just what's great about that is that you can be like offer some insights, offer some suggestions, and we were able to do that, and so it was creative, it was intense, and like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing how those things came out.
So, awesome. Are you interested in doing more projects?
Yes, I am. I'm actually uh, interested in taking on some small roles as I kind of get back into being in front of the camera.
Awesome.
So I've got a couple other projects where the people have said, when this gets started, I want to see you as this lawyer, and another one was like, I want to see you in this role as maybe an old MMA fighter. And so I've got a couple other offers that are coming up, but I'm excited about just everything that's happening. I'm, like I said, doing more in front of the camera. I'm also working on a project that we're actually doing a fundraiser for this project on October 18th in Santa Ana at the Elks Lodge there. It's called Saint in the City.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's a true story about a coach, a wrestling coach, and his humble beginnings in this place that was completely, I don't know how to explain it, but it was 28 years ago in Santa Ana. There was a lot of violence and a lot of gangs, and man, in the school, rarely did any of these kids ever make it to college. Most of them were either stabbed or shot or started turning tricks or got pregnant. And so when Scott came there, there was not a lot of like self-awareness and confidence and knowing that there's some other bigger world that you could actually maybe tap into if you became a good wrestler and you got a scholarship. And he was able over the course of these many years to take this school's wrestling program from like being in tatters and being at the very bottom of the CIF to be a powerhouse in the CIF, winning the CIF championships every year, basically. And the kids that came through that program and what they got from it, and then the ones that graduated, even if they didn't get a scholarship, it changed their lives. And so I see wrestling as this incredible opportunity for these kids to have a completely different understanding of who they are in the world and give them like tools to understand like, hey, you might get knocked down, but you can get right back up and you just keep grinding the old, wrestling mentality. And it changed the culture in that area for these kids and the school. And so this is uh, we're trying to decide. It's been put out in a couple of different places, and it's been like, wow, this is a great concept, great project. They're trying to figure out if are we going to do a movie first, are we going to do episodic? And so those are the kind of the questions because we've got it written so you can do it either way or both.
Awesome.
So that's coming, and I'm excited to be a part of that because the story is about a guy that is a good friend of mine. He was the one that got me back into wrestling, of being
Wow.
connected with the wrestling, is Scott Glab.
Wow.
And about almost 30, not quite 30 years after Vision Quest, he was like, "Hey Frank, will you come down and we got this tournament? Will you give away the medals?"
So
And
cool.
I said, "Sure." So I just, it wasn't that far of a drive. I drove down there, did that. And then the next thing I know, somebody asked, "Hey, will you help promote the World Cup here that's being held in LA?" And that's where it all began.
Wow.
So I have to give kudos to Scott. And by the way, Scott was in the wrestling room at Eastern Washington the day that I got, tapped. The guy said, "Hey, you should go in and audition for this role." So Scott was wrestling for Eastern Washington. That's how far back we
Wow.
go.
It's all connected. It's all connected. 'Cause I remember, and again, I really encourage fans to go and check out our first interview with Frank because we really dive into how you landed the role. But yeah, it's such a small world how, like that one conversation leads us to this, right? And it's still going on, today, right? I mean, the evolution, the opportunities are being created. I mean, this sounds like a really exciting project. I'm really excited to see this come to fruition. Episodics now have become so popular because you can get, especially if they're like 30 minutes or an hour long. I mean, it's like a movie each episode. So I'm really excited to see this come to fruition for you.
Well, and what's great is that Scott was the coach there for over 28 years. And as the team built, it was like the last several years, 10 years that he was there, had between 50 to 80 wrestlers each season, and then he had 50 women wrestlers.
Wow.
And so he has so much to draw from. And the kids are just such characters in and of themselves. You don't even have to write characters. You can't even come up with some of the things that these kids would do. And they were very comical at times. So there'd be some great comedy in there. And the goal would be to lift up, elevate wrestling and to see it as an opportunity and it's really special. And because these kids, many of them are Hispanic, most of them were Hispanic at the time when he started there. And so most of the Hispanic kids, a lot of them are small. And so they're not going to play football. They're not going to play basketball probably very well. So this gives everybody of every size an opportunity to
Exactly.
participate in a sport.
Exactly. I just kind of circling back to the Shoot spin-off series. Um, how amazing would it be to see Shoot's daughter? Imagine played by Brock Lesnar's daughter. Imagine if she was your daughter in a series. She's a beast. I don't know if you've seen photos of her, but she's a monster. I think she does shot put. I'm not
Oh,
sure if
wow.
she wrestles or not, but if you haven't seen a photo of her and just kind of, she looks like a spitting image of her dad.
Oh,
Uh,
geez.
that would be
Yeah.
an amazing person to play your daughter. But I'm super excited. I mean, that sounds like an exciting project. I would love to see all these projects come to fruition. I do want to save some room for round four. I do want fans, especially once we get a release date for your new film. We'll be sure to promote it so fans can check it out. And then you're also going to be doing a signing at the Chiller Theater. Do you mind sharing the location again of where that's at?
Yeah, it's in Parsippany, New Jersey.
Okay. And that's
At the
October.
Chiller Theater, it's at a place called Chiller Theater in this hotel, um, and it's going to be crazy. April was pretty amazing, and what I've been told is you just can't even get in. It's just so packed. And boy, and if you're a collector, they have these rooms that have got everything you can possibly think about collecting, guitars, DVDs, posters, little characters, little, just everything you can possibly imagine will be there. And it's a lot of fun. And you'll see some wacky people there as well. So it's a little bit like, hey, let's check out the Star Wars bar here
Yeah.
at the event.
that's the fun part of these cons, right? Is just seeing folks dress up, just have fun, have a blast, and super engaging. So we'll see. Hopefully, if I can make my way down there, would love to attend personally. But again, I'm super excited to see all these upcoming projects come to fruition. We're going to get this interview to Dana, like I said, to get you in the MMA, with the Ultimate Fighting Championship as well too. So super excited. And again, Frank, just want to thank you again for coming back on our podcast and sharing with all these exciting projects. And can't wait to share with the fans.
Awesome, man. Great to see you. As always, I love when you get a chance to kind of pop down here in Carmel and we can just grab a bite to eat or get, walk down on the beach. So whenever you're in the area, be sure to look me up, man.
Definitely will. I know you had a chance to meet Big Boy last time, our Frenchie. We also have a new member of the family now in Thomas. So he was born just a month ago too. So you'll see our family's growing a little bit too. So you get a chance to meet Thomas and Big Boy next time we come down.
Sounds good. All right, man. Take care.
Awesome.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Frank.